Thank you, Dr. Bikramjit. The introduction was not that brief, but good, it was not brief. Anyway, thank you for your kind words. And also seated along with him, our very dear friend, Padma Shri Professor Ashutosh Sharma, Professor Suman Chakravarti, Professor Indra Neel, whom you heard just now, directors of different institutes, the former directors, members of the faculty, students, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I have to congratulate you for the Platinum Jubilee celebrations of the Institute, which has been going on for the last 1 year. Somehow I couldn't make it. I was here in Calcutta more than once, but I would remain engaged in other activities, could not make it over here. Last time when I was here, Dr. Basu made it sure that I went back with the promise of coming to Calcutta next time only if I was visiting his institute, which I am glad I was able to do. And each time, of course, being in Calcutta is a very rejuvenating experience because it's a very academically vibrant, rich place for anyone who is engaged in the business of reading, writing, and thinking. And more so, this institute, as was being mentioned by the lady of the ceremony over here, has the rich legacy of Dr. B.C. Roy, whom at least in the field that I belong to, we hold as one of the greatest legends that we grew up emulating and being inspired with in more than one ways. And I think he still continues to be an ideal in more than one ways for the entire scientific fraternity and more so for the medical professionals, medical researchers and medical scholars. And besides, of course, being a great researcher, a teacher and a scholar, he was a very popular practitioner, which is a rare combination. And sometimes, in fact, the other day I was in one of the medical institutes and I said, why you come across so many incidents of the quarrels happening between the doctors and the patients these days, including in this pink city of city of joy. You come across not so joyful news of such incidents happening. And so I was telling them, they said no, because some of the doctors are charging very high consultation fees and that, this and that. So I said, no, it's not that. If that had been so, Dr. B.C. Roy would have got at least 100 beatings in his practice times, because as my guide used to say, when Dr. B.C. Roy stopped practice to become the Chief Minister, his consultation fee was rupees 66 in 1946. And my guide used to say, B.C. Roy charged 66 when 66 meant 66. Because you can imagine, 70 years back, 80 years back, what would be the value of 66? 65 rupees was his fee, and 1 rupee was the commission of the attendant, sitting outside the clinic. So he also became rich in the process. But people had so much faith, and that is what is called integrity, which is important to every researcher. And when he became Chief Minister, he stopped practicing, he stopped charging. Of course, he was seeing his patients as a follow-up, free of cost. So there was so much of trust. So for any person engaged in a scientific pursuit, these disparities start happening when you lose trust. Even if you're charging just 10 rupees instead of 66, but you are then advising him to go to a lab run by your spouse or a friend to get the investigations which are not required, then the mutual skepticism starts building up. And therefore, I know how many of you are aware, such a high trustworthiness was owned by B.C. Roy that when Gandhi went on fast, after that, of course, he was assassinated, but before that, he was on an indefinite fast, and there was a rumor mill going along that he would not last. And the PMO in London wanted his health report. The Secretary General there, because now that just as you have the Director General Health, in the British time they called it Surgeon General. The Surgeon General was the counterpart of the Director General Health that you have these days. So Surgeon General procured his health status report, but he didn't have the confidence to send it to London. He said before that I should get it endorsed by Dr. B.C. Roy. So it was sent all the way to Calcutta. So that is the kind of rich legacy that you have partaken of. How much we are able to live up to it is our, and if we don't, I think it's our misfortune. And then as Professor Ashutosh was saying that this audience is a galaxy of plus 28 and minus 28. So I think there could not be a better audience, a more versatile audience than this. Now, as far as the CSIR is concerned, again, this is one of the oldest institutes, and as we know, CSIR itself is one of the oldest, because the unique feature of CSIR was that although the name, the nomenclature was coined after independence, but many of the labs which got associated with CSIR were already existing before 1947. In spite of the fact that this came into being in 1950, but we had the other ones. For example, the Jammu lab was there somewhere in the early 40s. NPL had just started happening around the time of independence in Delhi. And the father of pharmacology, Sir Ramnath Chopra, who is known as father, actually superannuated from Calcutta. So the CSIR and all the founding fathers have carried a legacy which dates back to the pre-partition times and then translated into the partition, post-partition, and now from the 20th century to the 21st century as well. And I don't know how many of you are aware of the fact. If you are not, I think we will have to feel a little embarrassed. Professor Basu was very kind to introduce me as the Vice President. Of course, the Prime Minister is the President. The very first Vice President of CSIR was one of the sons of soil from Calcutta, Dr. Sama Prasad Mukherjee, which is something which is lesser known sometimes even in Calcutta. So because those days you didn't have a separate Ministry of Science and Technology, a separate Ministry of CSIR. So CSIR was a part of the Ministry of Industry. And as in his capacity as the Minister for Industry, he was also the Vice President. And that's precisely when he also held the formal inauguration of NPL with the then Home Minister Sardar Patel. So you can understand the place you sit carries the fragrance of so many icons which could be inspiring more than one ways. Now, as far as this institute is concerned, I think another unique feature of CSIR is that each of the institutes specializes in a particular domain. A fact which is not very widely known because they think CSIR must be some kind of an agency like many other agencies functioning in the government of India, but it has a different character. And that's why when the new DG took over, Dr. Kalai Selvi, I suggested we should have a dedicated program of 1 week, 1 lab for each lab so that you are able to showcase what is there. And now I suggested 1 week, 1 theme, because you have labs which are integrated by way of the themes that they are working on. And that is now in the process, and now I suggested to her that next year we should extend it wider, an extended integration, also identifying institutes from the other science departments, from DBT. You have so much in common with the Department of Biotechnology institutes also happening. Some of the CSI institutes dedicated, for example, to the work of genes have their counterparts over there. So, because now the time has come to integrate, because we work in silos, we can't move on from where we are today. And this institute also, I was telling Dr. Basu, we should have more effective social handles because fortunately or unfortunately, you are dealing with a product which is taken for granted. You have glass everywhere in your life. And you have had it from ages, for generations. So you take it for granted. You don't even bother to think where it has come from. How is it developed? It's everywhere. Here's glass, here's glass, here's glass, wearing glass, everywhere glass. So it's just as you take some of your human relations for granted, unless you lose them. So when you don't have a glass or a mirror, then you realize, oh. So say something like that, unless you are deprived, you would not realize what is glass. So this institute also has an added task of making realize, and this is a wonderful institute because the advantage of dealing with a field like this is that the range is very big, both in the terms of the legacy, also in the terms of the spectrum of work. It begins from the ancient times, glass has evolved, and now, as was being mentioned by Professor, I think, Indraneel also, whether it is Operation Sindhur, it was glass somewhere around, which we didn't realize. Now, if you tell somebody that Operation Sindhur has a contribution from this institute, of some of the ceramics from this, they may not be able to appreciate it, they may even laugh at you. So it's such a significant element, but so humble, so modest, that it hardly gets noticed. And therefore, from traditional glass industry to the innovative ceramics industry, this is a wide range. We could actually now classify it in themes and project it in themes. We could have some infographics, some video films made like that. And the range, you have the optical glasses, you have the insulating bricks, you have radiation shields. In defense, of course, you have the nuclear shielding. In healthcare, the whole range, beginning from ophthalmology to the implants, whether it's orthopedic, it's dental, energy, and that is how you also get aligned with many of the flagship programs of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government, whether it's the Atmanirbhar Bharat, because all this is being indigenous, whether it's Digital India, whether it's Swachh Bharat, whether it's Jal Jeevan Mission, as Professor was mentioning there too. So you are also contributing to the ease of living, providing basic amenities to the citizens of India. So you can understand what is the stream of the work that you are doing over here. It's not that because if you go around and tell somebody you're working in a glass institute, they do not understand. They think, okay, glass means glass. Unless it's an... So, and also in many of our futuristic missions, you have a role. For example, in our semiconductors, we'll have this non-oxide ceramics. We've already rolled out an ambitious plan of having semiconductors, the green hydrogen mission, where you have the electrolyzers. In fact, I was asking the professor here, I said, have you got integrated with NCL Pune? And I'm glad he said yes. And then I said, NCL is in a big way into PPP model, so we should also be doing this, because unless we have an early industry linkage, we can't sustain. So now, I think Professor Suman was mentioning that we could have all these scientists turning into industrialists, which has happened in the IITs. But before that, I think we could also have the PPP model made in a bigger manner, which is also not happening over here. So unless you have that, because this, we have to give up this mindset of depending on the government. All those institutions across the world which have actually developed and sustainably developed have not depended on government. For them, the government aid just happens. When the budget is laid out, for example, in USA, they earmark certain amount for NASA, certain amount for some other agencies, and it's taken. But they don't wait. As over here, they wait. Once the month of December comes, I start receiving calls. Is baar badega ke ghatega, tell the finance minister. What? See, we are scientists, we are researchers. If we spend all our time, that is because we have not learned to open our horizons. There's so much there. And the industry is made a stakeholder right from the beginning. All our success stories across in the last 3-4 years have been possible because industry was a partner right from the beginning. If it's a vaccine story, the first DNA vaccine, again I said, we could have an integration larger, beyond CSIR, with the other science ministry. So you could, because, and this institute has an advantage because glass is coming in everywhere. It has intruded every Indian household up to the bathroom. Even in the toilet, you see a glass. This is something you can't get rid of. So you have the advantage of a wider integration and becoming a part of the whole of science, whole of government, whole of nation component. So vaccine story, because we had already identified an industry or a company right from the beginning. And that was same the case with the HPV virus. Similarly, from CSIR itself, that lavender happened because you already had a perfume industry as a partner, and one of the biggest perfume houses based out of Maharashtra took the responsibility of doing everything. So in that way, you can not only sustain your work, your activities, your projects, but also you could create lucrative livelihood sources to sustain your startups, converting into. So you would not have to use your IIT professorship to run a company. You would automatically evolve into one. Like in Lavender, because I'm fond of meeting these boys and trying to understand their experience, I found over 2 or 3 boys have left their corporate jobs, MBAs and BTechs, and taken up this. Because at the end of the day, a youngster, this 28 years old, Professor Ashutosh was pointing out, you may give him all the lofty ideals, lofty philosophies. When he walks out and sees another 28-year driving down in a BMW, he says, hell with it, I better do what he's doing. So all your tapasya and all your hard work, your investment at him goes haywire. Because after all, he's the child of the same society. So you have to give him the same amount of esteem, socially, financially, economically, so that he feels that he's doing what he deserves to be doing. So for that, I think we should have more of integration. And as I said, you will have a role in semiconductors, you'll have a role in green hydrogen mission, you'll have a role even in the quantum mission. We are among the very few who are into the quantum mission. And therefore, I'm sure next time when we meet, we will also, in the same room, have some of the industry partners, and Dr. Basu will also facilitate that. So that, of course, you have to do MOUs done over here, but more and more with the pure industry people. And in fact, there is no prejudice in not having industry people also involved officially or formally in the CSIR working. Otherwise, what happens is the scientist usually thinks that he's from a different world, whereas an industrial is a fleecer, black marketer. And the industry fellow thinks that this scientist is a nut. He sits in a lab, there's so much of gap. But we have to learn to live together. As I said yesterday, when you board a bus, you don't know who's sitting next to you, a demon or a saint, a sadhu or a thug. But when the bus breaks down, everybody starts pushing it. So if you reach the destination, you have to involve all of them. And we have started courses in through DST. Professor Ashutosh was there when that happened for class 12 level students, for undergraduates, because that is the time you have to catch them, to channelize. Many of them are here not by choice. I can tell you, they will not admit it in front of you. Those who raised heads where Professor Ashutosh said, who are 28, they said yes. But if you ask them quietly, they're apni marji se aaye ke majboori mein? They would say, we found this was the only place we could come. If given a choice, to maine kahin aur baithna tha. So that should not be the case. Then you will not get the optimal result. It doesn't happen in West. They come here because they have the aptitude for that. And they also know that what they are going to do is going to fetch them dividends. Not necessarily only money-wise, but even otherwise, by terms of satisfaction and esteem. So, and that will happen only if you involve the society as a whole and make every citizen, more so the business houses, stakeholders in what we are doing. And I'm sure with the advantages, as I enumerated, this institute enjoys, you have an edge over many other institutes, and we would be able to also live up to the requirements of the Amrit Kal, as Professor Ashutosh was saying, and contribute to the making of India of 2047. Thank you very much.
धन्यवाद सर.